Yo, 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 yo. What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads out there? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Great.
Awesome. I love it. I love when you say great because it makes me fired up.
You are fired up
I
right
am a
now.
little fired up right now. I have to say a couple things. My birthday's coming up. Mm-hmm. And we're going to record on the next episode on my birthday. How old am I going to be, Mrs. Weedman?
Can't record on your birthday.
Oh, we're recording on my birthday.
It's his 50th birthday.
That's why we're
a big
recording.
one.
That's a big one. It's a Monday. We're recording
Okay.
on my birthday.
All right, we're recording.
Mr. Weedman's birthday's coming up, and I am going to be the big 5-0, and I'm starting to lose my vision, I think. Something's wrong with my eyes.
I know.
I've been saying it for like the last 4 or 5 days.
I know.
Like words have been crossing together, and I get like a little headache.
Yeah. We've got
Sucks.
you scheduled for an eye doctor.
I know.
appointment.
I haven't been to the doctor. I just actually scheduled my other appointment too.
You're
For my a full
like
body
a
checkup.
50-year-old
Body checkup.
Yeah.
I have to get the old finger and the gazooie.
All right.
So I made the appointment for the call, and they asked me. They're like, "Are you sure, doctor? This doctor's your doctor?" I'm like, "Yes." They're like, "Well, when was the last time you went there?" I'm like, "A
century
I
ago.
think it's been like 10, 11, 12 years ago, I think." And they're like, "Well, we don't have you on record."
Jeez.
So I had to make an appointment for that. I guess when you turn 50, you have to go get the whole full checkup, body
Yeah, you do.
poke and proddedness.
That's the deal, Mr. Weedman.
It's a shitty deal.
A baseline screening.
I'm going for a baseline screen.
We're old.
Mrs. Weedman is very excited I'm going to the doctor, and she didn't have to make the appointment for me. I went out and just did it.
And trust me, I'm not one to love going to the doctor or taking medicine or anything like that, but I think it's good just to have a baseline
At 50,
screening
yeah.
at 50.
At 50.
Just to know what's right and wrong with your
Right.
body.
I'm doing
That's
it. I'm doing it. So I'm going to the doctor.
all. Good boy.
Yes. So anyway, I also like to mention.
Good boy. Did I really just say
You
good
did
boy?
say good boy.
I think
Pat me on the
we have
head.
a dog for a minute now, so it's like good boy, good girl, good boy.
I'd like to just say congratulations to the owner of the brand Cookies. His name is Burner. And I'm going to read the article on the next episode because it just came out today and last night, that he is the first cannabis entrepreneur to make it on the cover, not just in the magazine, the cover of Forbes magazine. This is a big deal. And I'll read his story next time. And I just wanted to say congratulations, Burner, and the brand Cookies and your whole entire team, because you can't do it without a team. But you are the forefront. You're the leader. Great job, Burner, to put cannabis finally on the map of entrepreneurship on one of the biggest magazines in the world. So congratulations to Burner. Yeah, good stuff. I can't wait to read the article to everybody on the next episode. So it's pretty exciting. So what else, Ms. Weeman? We got anything else?
No,
Nothing?
not really.
No, not really. Well, everybody, we're about to start the show. You ready?
Yeah, let's do
Let's
it.
start the fucking show, Mrs. Weedman. But before we do, we
What?
need to smoke.
We do need to smoke.
So you
It's
got
time.
It is the Cannabis Cup Challenge, and like I said, I'm smoking on every episode a different strain from the Cannabis Cup High Times Cannabis Cup Challenge, and we are smoking modified grapes by Verano, and I'm going to read you about this strain because Mrs. Weeman and I smoked it last night. And I smoked it throughout. I did a reel and recorded it when I was smoking too. And I will tell you what, really nice indica dominant 80-20 strain. It's called Modified Grapes, and I'm smoking it by Verano. It's the Reserve. It's an indica dominant hybrid. This is a 20. What was this one? Man, they need to make these letters.
Am I smoking this while you're talking?
Yeah, you should be smoking it. This is basically a 29.39% modified grape strain. It was a very, very good indica. So this is created by crossing the potent GMO and purple punch strains. Known for its super fruity flavor, heavy-hitting high, modified grapes is a great choice for any hybrid lover who appreciates the slight indica lean in their bud. This was not just an indica lean. This put Mrs. Weedman out for 90-night sleep. Like its name suggests, Modified Grapes has a super sweet and fruity grape flavor with a unique, heavily pungent and dark, spicy overtone. The aroma is very pungent and heavy, with punches of rotting grapes and rich black pepper that will fill any room with its heavy stench. The Modified Grapes high hits you almost as soon as you exhale, filling you up with a lifted sense. Did you take a second hit?
Yeah. That was kind of small.
So, as soon as you exhale, filling you with the lifted sense of euphoria that instantly boosts your mood and leaves you flying. You'll feel creative and sociable with any outgoing sense that has you easily carrying on conversation with those around you. The state does turn heady at times, leaving you unfocused and a little out of touch, although pretty happy about it. Combined, like I said, it's about 29% THC level. These effects give modified grapes an edge in treating those suffering from conditions such as asthma, insomnia, chronic pain, depression, chronic stress, or anxiety. This bud has rounded, fluffy, dark green nugs with purple undertones. I got one of the nugs had a lot of purple undertones on it. Then orange hairs and coating of dark purple tinted white trichomes. The effects: creative, euphoria, happy, relaxing, sociable, uplifting. The relief symptoms of anxiety, asthma, chronic pain, depression, insomnia, and stress. Mrs. Weedman, any fruity, grape, peppery, spicy, sweet flavors?
Oh, spicy and grape.
Yeah? You got
grape,
that, huh?
Grape first, spicy.
Nice.
Actually, no. First hit was spicy. Second hit was grape, then spicy.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't know, I would have not defined it as being spicy, but I read about spicy as a descriptive word for cannabis today, and I was like, yes, because sometimes I'm like, oh, it has like a heat
little
to
bite.
it, yeah. And I didn't know that was a thing, like that peppery, spicy.
Spicy.
So
And then
it's
the
in there.
aromas, I would definitely say I smell that fruity grape.
Oh yeah, big
Spicy.
time.
Yeah, and then it got some dank, earthy, and some pungent into it also. So that is.
I think you gave me that jar and had me smell it, and I said it smells purple.
Yeah,
It smells like
and
grape.
the buds were purple too.
Before you told me the name of it, so it was
Nice.
a really pronounced grape flavor.
Nice.
Smell.
So I'm going to hit this.
Oh, Mr. Weedman needs a lighter.
I need a lighter.
Yep,
Mrs.
I'm messing
Weeman's
things
lighting
up
my
right now.
hemp. Nah, you're all good. Mrs. Weeman,
Yeah.
got anything to say while I hit this modified grape?
Oh, we didn't talk about our weekend. We went up
Oh,
to
yeah.
just over I call it the border. My mom always cracks up. She's like, Susan, it's a state line. Mrs. Weedman, it's a state line. So we go right over the border, because that's how I like to say it, into Wisconsin. And we go to a nice little lake up there, and it's awesome. So we got to take Yuki on her first boat ride.
We snuck her in.
and into a lake, and it was fantastic. We went up with some friends and just putzed around all weekend on a boat.
And we have a water dog.
And we have a water dog.
She loved the boat.
Yeah, and
she
she
loved the water.
Now, she didn't go in swimming depth water. She was at water like
Up to her chest.
It was like to her chest.
Yeah.
So we don't know how she'll do as a
But
swimmer.
she was running
she had a good time.
and galloping
Galloping
out
through
of
the
the
water.
water,
It was
loving
very
it,
cute.
not wanting to come out unless
Yeah.
we picked her up and put her in the boat.
Yeah.
She wasn't ready to jump in from the boat yet. I think that'll come later as she gets more and more used to it. But she loved the water. I was smiling. Was I beaming from
You
ear
were
to
very
ear?
happy.
I was actually, even if she didn't like the water, I was hoping that she liked the boat. She had to like one or the other, and she liked boat. And when we were driving in the boat, took it very slow at first. Right, I was idling basically to get to where to the sandbar, and she was not. She sat and just
Yeah,
lay down.
She was fine.
Yeah.
At first, when she stayed on the floor, and then she wanted to come up on the seat, but she stayed really low, like she hugged the seat and laid right down. Never looked over the edge.
Nope.
And then within minutes, she was like kind of popping up
Loving
and
it.
looking, and yeah,
It was
soaking
awesome.
up the sun.
Yeah,
she
it was great.
loving
And
it.
then we turned it up a notch a little bit. It went around the lake a couple times pretty quick, and she was just loving the breeze flowing. She was flowing. So, so happy we got a water dog. So awesome stuff. All right, we're ready to start the show now.
Yes, we
Here we
are.
go. Scientists discover new cannabis compounds, but what exactly are they? And I'm going to butcher two of the three, okay? Kenyaric, and then there's Kenyaric Acid and tryptophan, which I know how to say. But I'll spell the two for you. Kynurenine. And then there's Kynurenic acid. Do you know those words, Mrs. Weedman?
No.
Because they're brand new compounds. That's why we don't know these words. Cannabis is the most widely used. Why do they use the word drug? But the commonly used plant in the entire world. It is almost the most popular, with millions of consumers now using it legally all the world, thanks to many countries relaxing its stance following suit after the United States, Canada, and Uruguay. However, from a scientific perspective, we know so little about the compounds in the plant. So far, there are 500 known compounds in the plant, but only 2 cannabinoids are the most special or the most known or the most studied or the most smoked, and that's THC and CBD, have been extensively studied numerous times over. We have been able to identify their therapeutic applications for dozens of afflictions, though that's not to say that there are only 2 valuable compounds in the plant. And Mrs. Weedman and I have talked about many of the other compounds, but it's always good to know new ones they're discovering, because that just goes to show that they're studying the plant, and there's going to be more therapeutic stuff about these plants. So in March of 2022, some Italian researchers have identified the 3 I just mentioned. I'm not going to say them again, for the first time earlier in the year. Though these compounds already exist in us as humans as well as mammals, Kenyaric is a metabolite of tryptophan, which is an amino acid that we can't produce ourselves. Hence, we need to rely on food intake to get it into enough. Oh yeah, that's why my muscles are growing. Yeah, those amino acids. Yeah. Though high resolution mass spectro, you laughing now?
Yeah.
Spectrometry and liquid chemotography. Oh man, I'm baked. They found that these compounds exist all over the plant, though it's a much larger amount within the leaves. It's also interesting for the researchers that the Ka, let's just call it, Kenyaric acid, is highly concentrated in cannabis compared to other plants. Since it has also been found in some vegetables, including potatoes, pumpkins, and broccoli, as well as other herbs and spices. According to the research, 95% of tryptophan in the human body is metabolized into Kenyaric, though some of it is further degrades into the Ka, the Kenyaric acid. The latter is piquing the interest of researchers because of the neuroprotective, anti-inflammatory, and antioxidant benefits, especially for the heart and the brain. In addition, tryptophan metabolites are known for helping to regulate lipids and mitigating obesity. Ooh, that's kind of good. Mm-hmm. Considering the importance role played, the Ka in animals and humans is an accumulation in leaves opens a new branch of the cannabis chemistry that makes this plant even more attractive than it already is. THCP and CBDP. In 2019, Italian researchers also accidentally discovered those 2 compounds while studying an industrial strain of hemp. The same team discovered THCB and CBDB in the year before. But being able to identify THCP was extremely significant because it may help us better understand why some strains with low THC levels are still extremely powerful in both their high and their medicinal value. Using mouse models, man, those mice, man, they discovered that binding mechanism THCP on the animal's CB1 receptors resulted in similar effects as THC, even when they only used half a dose. They found that THCP was 33 times more active on the CB1 receptors compared to THC, while it also has a 15 to 10 times more active on the CB2 receptor. In addition, they found that THCP is easier to dissolve in fats. Man, give me some of that THCP, baby. This is why cannabis strains that contain more THCP are more powerful compared to those that only contain THC. On the other hand, they also discovered CBDP, also known as CBD-C7 or CBD heptyl. Unfortunately, we still know significantly less about CBDP compared to THCP, but researchers have deprioritized studying it simply because it's the only way I can do it. Mm-hmm. Is by like how you sing the alphabet.
Sometimes you just
got to sing the letter, sing the words. You know, you just got to let it flow.
It happens.
You know, simply because it's less efficiently binding CBD1 and CB2 receptors. Though there's still a lot we don't know about THCP. The Italian researchers did discover that it may have potential for pain relief, hypomobility, and helping reduce temperature within the rectum.
Oh.
Why would they discover that? I don't know. In your opinion, this compound should be included in the list of the main phytocannabinoids to determine for correct evaluation of the pharmacological effect of the cannabis extracts administered to patients, said the researchers. Conclusion. Even if cannabis is legal in one form or another, in the majority of the U.S. states, researching it is a completely different beast. Cannabis research in the United States is notoriously difficult, which is why many of these new recent discoveries on the plant compounds are done by researchers abroad. Here's my opinion on that. Don't we have a college in Mississippi that does all the cannabis research for the United States federal government?
Yeah.
How come we don't know anything about what they talk about?
Because they were only testing it for the same
They
shit.
know more.
Yeah.
They're not telling us.
They
They
might.
don't want us to know.
I don't know.
I think they're holding stuff
possible.
back.
It's possible.
I do. So, dispensaries, we go to them. We like them. They're fun.
Yeah.
Bud tenders are great. We love you all out there. How do you choose one, though?
Well, these are 5 questions to ask yourself before making your trip to a dispensary. If you're new to cannabis, you might feel a bit overwhelmed. The legalization of medicinal and or recreational cannabis is new in many states. Plus, the world of cannabis is vast. In 2021 alone, the cannabis market was worth over $10 billion in revenue, and there are a lot of industry changes to keep up with every year. Before you head to a local dispensary, it's important to feel confident and informed. Just choosing a dispensary at random means you may miss out on deals available at another dispensary, and you might end up with lesser quality products. That's why we came up with several factors to consider when deciding what dispensary to buy from. Ask yourself the following questions before choosing a dispensary. If the answer is yes to all 5, you should expect a good experience. 1. Is the dispensary licensed? Cannabis is still illegal at the federal level, but most states have legalized cannabis consumption for either adult use or medicinal purposes. There are some critical differences between the states where medical weed is legal and those where recreational use is legal. If you're in a state where recreational cannabis use is legal, you won't need a medical cannabis license to consume. However, you must be at least 21 years old to partake or purchase products at a dispensary. The only loophole around this is if you're 18 to 21 years old and have a medical cannabis license. Sometimes minors under 18 can get approval for medical cannabis cards from a state, but those cases are very rare. States that only allow the use of medical cannabis will typically allow anyone over 18 to get a license. Minors under 18 with a certain qualifying condition can still participate in cannabis consumption with approval from their parents or guardians. On top of all of this, certain localities do not allow cannabis dispensaries to operate in their area. And in many states, cannabis dispensaries cannot open within a certain distance of schools and other public spaces. Make sure the dispensary you're interested in is licensed by the state before purchasing anything from them, and become familiar with the cannabis laws around you to prevent yourself from accidentally purchasing illegal products. 2. Does this dispensary offer competitive prices? You're likely curious about the affordability of the products at your potential cannabis dispensary. Since cannabis is not a federally regulated product at this time, the cost of cannabis varies by region a lot. The pricing of cannabis varies based on how competitive the market is, so it's essential to be prepared with some knowledge of your chosen dispensary's competition. If there are a lot of dispensaries in the area, odds are prices will be more competitive. If you're at the only dispensary within 100 miles, you might see some price gouging. The cost of cannabis products also depends on the availability of cannabis growers compared to the need of users. Consider the differences in medical cannabis pricing. In states where it's pricey, like Illinois or Virginia, cannabis growers struggle to keep up with market demand. In Oregon, though, dispensaries have so much competition that their prices are almost dirt cheap. To make matters worse or more complicated, high prices sometimes signal higher quality. So that's not worse. It's just more complicated because, higher prices sometimes mean higher quality. But it could just be price gouging. No matter what. So you have to get to know cannabis. I'm pretty high. No matter what state.
I told you didn't need any more.
No. No matter what state you live in, you'll be able to find high-end and therefore more expensive dispensaries. These locations will often feel more glamorous and provide the best products. On the other hand, you can always search for budget-friendly dispensaries. These might prioritize affordability over quality, but you should still be able to find what you need if you know what you're looking for. The important thing is to understand your budget and prepare accordingly. Overall, it's important to be informed on the average cost of the products you're looking for and weigh the prices at your local dispensaries against that number. This might require some research, but it'll be worth it in the end. All right, number 3, moving on. Is this dispensary selling quality products? Alongside the increase in countrywide favor for cannabis, is the overall rise in the quality of the product. As cannabis becomes more mainstream, a wider variety of reliable, well-researched products have become available. Even if you're looking for cost-effective options in your area, you'll want to spend money on products you can trust. Many legal cannabis products are trustworthy, but some products, even those sold at licensed dispensaries, contain metals and other surprise ingredients that can harm you. This is because cannabis is not federally regulated. So do some homework on your products and make sure that they're screened. Yeah. The main thing to look for when checking out cannabis products is freshness, though. Look elsewhere if you spot mold or if the cannabis has a bad odor. Healthy, fresh cannabis buds typically have vivid coloring. They may also have trichomes, which are the tiny little appendages attached to the bud. They kind of are crystal clear, and then they get a little cloudy. They make the flower look like it's lightly frosted, which typically indicates good quality and a higher THC potency, which is a nice bonus. Next, look at customer reviews and any news reports on the brand sold at your local dispensary. Make sure that they are selling products that do not have a history of harming consumers. If the dispensary seems to be selling well-researched products with positive customer reviews, you should be able to trust the quality of their inventory. 4, how transparent is the dispensary about product ingredients? Need a little water. Another critical factor to consider before purchasing from a dispensary is the availability of detailed ingredients. Cannabis products all vary slightly in the levels of CBD and THC that they contain. Different combinations of these cannabinoids will cause different effects when consumed. It will take time to get to know your preferred levels of these cannabinoids. Some consumers like an experience that's euphoric or a giddy sensation, while others are just looking to feel relaxed and get some help sleeping at night. Note whether or not the cannabis products for sale are labeled with information beyond what strain they are. You should be able to see a full ingredient list for every product sold, along with the CBD-THC ratio of each product. Some products will even mention terpenes. If a dispensary consistently sells products that are not transparent about their ingredients, they're not worth your investment. And 5, are the bud tenders helpful and knowledgeable? To find out this answer, you'll have to visit dispensaries. But if you've answered yes to the last 4 questions, it's probably a worthwhile trip. The last thing to note when choosing a dispensary is the level of customer service you receive. Be willing to question the bud tender as much as you want before buying. A good bud tender will be both knowledgeable and friendly. Before making a purchase, take your time to get comfortable with the staff, the product you're considering, and the dispensary itself. You're probably going to be there quite a bit, so it's important that you enjoy the buying process. If you've done your research and are ready to choose, congratulations. You've made an informed purchasing decision. Knowing what to look for in a dispensary is essential to finding high-quality cannabis products that are trustworthy and provide the desired effects. Good luck. It is a process.
It is.
Yeah.
And you find a dispenser you like, and you find the bud tenders
Trial
you
and
like.
error.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna find where you like to go and where you like to buy. Everybody always does. I mean, in Illinois, it's a little different because it's not convenient. There's not a dispensary everywhere. You know,
Right.
you have to drive. Some people have to drive, so they're gonna drive to the closest one or the one that has the best deals. Most of the time, that's closer. So I get it. You know, but once these 185 more licenses open up, there'll be more options for people to go to. There'll be different prices.
It'll be more competitive.
Yeah, so get ready for that fun. Ugh.
They'll have better sales.
Yeah. Pros and cons of moderately good weed. As you hear all the time, don't smoke mids. Or he smokes mids, or he grows mids. And Mrs. Weedman just told me to raise my voice.
A little bit. Sounds like you're going to sleep.
That strain got me fucking. I gave this an 8.
I'm going to reel you back in.
You did, thank you. I gave this strain an 8. 3 8s and then 2 7s. I can't remember. It didn't get a 9 or a 10 because it didn't make me shake. It didn't give me the shakes. That's when I know it's like superpower weed. Yeah. But this weed's really good. I'm pretty high. So what are mids? And mids can be regarded as the midpoint between low quality and high quality cannabis. This classification has brought on different names for this class of cannabis flowers over the years. For many that are new to cannabis industry, you might have heard the word mid being used repeatedly while trying to buy weed. Now I know that we all want to act like we're in tune with every in saying in cannabis industry, but it's okay if you're not. All you need to is the right info, and you're good to go. Before we delve into the mids, you must understand what is known as the cannabis quality spectrum. This is simply the classification of cannabis based on the quality. And I really like this weed. It makes me really mellow. And many connoisseurs are known to use the classification that recognizes mids. There are 4 categories listed in order of low quality to high quality. Regs, which I used to sell, garbage. Mids, could be good, bad, or indifferent. Beasters, and headies. This means that regs are the least in terms of quality and headies are the best. Another explanation of the cannabis quality spectrum has the cannabis flower divided into 3 categories: low, medium, high quality. The high quality cannabis further be divided into the low, high quality, and high quality. So what are mids? Mids are to be regarded as the midpoint between low quality and high quality cannabis. The classification has brought on different names for the class of cannabis flowers over the years, including middle shelf, the 30s, middies, and B pluses. All these names point to the same thing, but what identifies mids are the flower variables. These includes appearance, flavor, cannabinoid content, effect, and price. So the appearance, you can easily identify mids from its appearance, as many U.S. cannabises readily falls into this category. The buds are usually separated and contain few seeds and stems. It's also possible for the buds not to contain seeds at all. Mids have very few trichomes and are very bright with colored pistils and orange hairs. Flavor. Mids have a normal flavor depending on the characteristics of the strain. They are not as harsh as regs, but they aren't without their the deleterious effects. Whew, I'm fucking high. Mids are likely to make you cough and hack repeatedly. Cannabinoid content. You guessed it right by thinking that mids will have a higher cannabinoid content than regs. This means they are more likely to give better recreational and medicinal effects compared to regs. That's just about where it ends, though the beasters and headies have better cannabinoid content than mids. Price. The cost of mids has been more regulated now that there are legal markets in the different states. Nonetheless, prices are depending on the conditions in the states. However, mids are less expensive and can be compared to beasters and headies. Pros and cons of moderately good weed. Price. Color. The high type of high experience from smoking mid quality depends on smoking experience. Veteran tokers love mids because they are bound to get the desired high easily. Others with a reduced level of experience range from feeling blasted to blaze before experiencing the desired high. Cons. The appearance. While the color of mids gives the big edge over regs, its appearance is still a major issue. The majority of the bud still appears brown and green despite the orange hairs, and the many be compressed. Mids can also contain seeds that have unpleasant, harsh effects on smoking experience. I've smoked some mids just because that's what someone gave me. That's been better than some people's fucking beasters and headies and toppers. So it just depends. So the bottom line, mids are not the perfect class of cannabis flowers, but it has its perks. Depending on what you have and what you want, you can go for the best category that applies to you. But mids are fairly all right. It just depends. Like I said, I've smoked some mids that were better than people's fucking headies and beasters. So just, regs, beasters, headies, mids, just when people talk about it, that's the kind of weed you're getting. So we just talked about dispensaries and how to choose one. What is the smart shopper's guide to go to outer space? To buying cannabis.
Yep. So this is kind of feeding off of our last article, and this is about buying flower. There are many factors to consider when shopping for cannabis flower. Use these tips the next time you head to your dispensary and experiment with your bud at home. Though numerous ways of consuming weed have been introduced over the last few years, nothing can beat the fresh experience of smoking cannabis flower. And I will say, on that note, I am doing the cannabis cup judging for vapes and cartridges. And as much as I like the convenience of them, if you're out and about somewhere, like, you're going out to a concert, going out for drinks with friends or something, you just can throw the pen in your purse, right? Super easy. I like that. But what I don't like and what I really recognize is that you don't get like a strain specific, typically vape or cartridge. They're usually blends. And so I don't know. They're just not as accurate, I think. There's just something about smoking flower. That's all. I just like flower.
Flower
power is good.
Flower power.
Yeah. Recent data from Headset Analytics shows that cannabis flower is still the number one product in the U.S. legal cannabis market. This should not be surprising, given that flower is the least processed form of weed out there, making it more affordable and accessible, especially to newbies and purists. But even seasoned cannabis enthusiasts find many reasons to love flower. With its wide array of strain choices these days, you can customize your high in just about any way or flavor you want. Even if you have an interest in cannabis consumer goods and edibles, the experience of smoking flower will always be special on its own. Having said that, here are the things you should be looking for when shopping for flower at a dispensary. The effects. Any cannabis dispensary will carry dozens or even hundreds of different cannabis strains. Each strain will have its own effects, which is usually categorized something like uplifting, sedating, or a little of both, depending on how much you smoke. Let the bud tender know about the effects you're looking to achieve. A sedating strain will be best if you need help going to sleep, while an energizing strain will be ideal for daytime use. You should also research the medicinal effects of cannabis strains carefully, especially if you're prone to anxiety and paranoia, which is common among high THC strains. In addition, cannabis strains are also known for specific physical effects, which might include headaches and hunger. Potency. Understanding the potency of THC or CBD in the flower you're buying is an important factor. You can't tell how potent a flower is just by looking at it, but cannabis sold in legal dispensaries will have a descriptive label on the packaging of the glass jar. Generally, anything above 20 to 25% THC is considered very strong and has potent psychoactive properties, while those who are new to THC are advised to start with strains below 18% THC. On the other hand, there are consumers who are interested in buying high CBD flower. CBD strains are ideal for those struggling with anxiety and paranoia, or who simply want a relaxing time without racing mental effects associated with energizing THC strains. For a more balanced effect, you can also check out the THC-CBD ratios. Some strains have a higher CBD content to help counter the THC, resulting in a deliciously balanced high. Then you're going to look for size. Bigger buds usually mean better quality.
So when weed size does matter?
No, it's not always the case.
Oh.
Various cannabis strains will produce buds of different shapes and sizes. For example, indica plants tend to produce smaller but denser buds, and sativas tend to be fluffier and less dense. Small flower buds are generally considered lower quality, though the same harvest can result in both small and large nugs. Some growers filter out the smaller nugs, which go into pre-rolls, while the large ones rake in more cash when they are sold as cannabis flower. Some dispensaries and brands may sell smaller nugs at a discounted price, so look for these deals if you're up for a bargain. And you have color. Using your senses will also go a long way in helping you source quality flower, which oftentimes also has a higher price point. Color is a great place to start. Premium flower should be various shades of green, and sometimes with a tinge of purple, yellow, or orange in its hairs. While color doesn't indicate good weed, you should avoid buds that look like they have been bleached or have irregularly saturated colors, because this can indicate that they've been stored improperly. It could also be that strains are naturally lightly colored, though, such as the famed Acapulco Gold, which really does have light buds. In addition, stay away from buds that are brownish or yellow because they are considered low quality and tend to be cheaper. However, if you're looking to buy weed in bulk with the intention of decarboxylating or turning it into edibles later on, then it's perfectly acceptable to buy a flower of lesser quality. Don't waste top shelf weed by decarbing it and turning it into edibles. No, don't do that. Smell. Your nose can tell you so much about cannabis flowers. Strains all smell different, and it will be an olfactory journey, unlike any other. Some strains smell spicy, musky, or like gasoline. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing, though. While others will smell like fruit or a flower garden and have strong pineapple or citrus smells, or even smell like flowers thanks to their aromatic compounds. And then there's popularity. It never hurts to ask your bud tender which strains have been flying off the shelves. They can share useful insider knowledge on the good stuff that's popular in your area, because certain growers can make terrific yields of certain strains. If there's a strain that's popular, you can always give it a try to see if you like it. You never know. You might just find your new favorite by having an open mind. And you've got price. Last but not least, there's also price to consider. There's weed at the low and high end of the spectrum, but for many consumers, the mid-range buds are where price and quality meet perfectly. Good quality weed does not always have to cost too much. Sometimes lower-priced flower can still produce an excellent high. Bottom shelf cannabis still works well for people who are on a tight budget. All in all, there are many factors to consider when shopping for cannabis flower. Use these tips the next time you head to your dispensary.
Hell yeah. Tips, tricks, and tips.
Yup.
Don't forget to tip your bud tenders, too.
Yeah.
They work hard for you.
It's important.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker cheered regulators issuing 149 new cannabis dispensary licenses to social equity applicants. And he tweeted, Illinois is leading the way in addressing the war on drugs like no state has before. Good. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear tweeted 90% of Kentucky adults support medical cannabis. 90%.
Wow.
If I could pass that shit, will you? Hawaii Republican gubernatorial candidate B.J. Penn said he supports legalizing cannabis. He should. B.J. Penn, I believe, used to be an MMA fighter. I believe. And probably uses cannabis or used cannabis for pain. I'm just saying it. Don't quote me on that.
Just making shit up.
Making shit up.
Just throw it out there, Mr. Weedman. Make that shit up.
I mean...
No one's listening.
No. If you're listening in Hawaii, I bet you he has, though, in his past. Iowa's Attorney General is pushing to legalize fentanyl chest strips. Okay, great, Iowa. Why don't you pass cannabis first? Okay, great. I just had to make fun of it. Man. Illinois governor touts huge increase in cannabis tax revenue for 2022 fiscal year as state approves social equity retailers. He's so happy. I mean, how much money the state's pulling in tax revenue. But in the end, the consumer still gets it, though. You know, so we're the one paying for it. Tennessee's first legal cannabis bar restaurant opens in Nashville, Germantown. How do you say this happens when cannabis isn't even legal in Tennessee? Mrs. Weedman, how?
I don't know.
There's always a hole. I mean, a loophole.
A loophole.
Tennessee's first legal cannabis bar and restaurant opened Thursday in Nashville's Germantown. The restaurant, Bud and Brews, will feature newly released cannabis-infused beverages, coolers, and a variety of sauces containing THC. THC, do you say? The coolers come in pouches which include the following flavors: Grape, Lemon Haze, Sweet Tea, OG Kush. Craft Cannabis offers sauces made with locally grown extracted hemp-derived THC. Each sauce contains 5 milligrams of THC in each jar. How? The company states that the products are state and federally legal and the persons must be 21 years of age to purchase or consume the products. The state of Tennessee currently allows use of some cannabis products. They are competing bills in the Tennessee state legislature for both legalizing cannabis as well as for banning the substance. A press release from Craft Cannabis said a Nashville-based producer and retailer released the new cannabis-infused beverage coolers. he found a loophole in the system. There's always a way to find a hole. Always a way to find a hole.
Well, some people make up loopholes.
There you go. So, legal medical cannabis leads safer roads, lower auto insurance premiums. Huh. So you could save on Geico.
We're really high.
I'm just
I
saying.
think this weed like brought us like down to slow motion.
Made me happy.
I know, but
I love it.
I don't know if it's a great episode weed.
I think it's great episode weed.
I feel like I'm talking
Here's
like a turtle.
something crazy.
What do you got?
Bipartisan cannabis research bill is being called dank. Stupid.
That's dumb.
So stupid to take that word. So stupid. Oh my gosh. Unity Road opens medical cannabis establishment in South Dakota, the first medical in South Dakota to open. The first store on July 27th with entrepreneurs BJ Olson and Adam Jorgensen. The new shop is located at Sioux Falls suburb at Hartford at 404 West Opal Lane. That's why I'm telling you, because it's the first shop to open in South Dakota. All the shit that South Dakota governor gave, it was voted by the state for medical and recreational. The governor and all of her constituents said no and took it away. So you get one shop, and it's in Sioux Falls suburb of Hartford at 404 West Opal Lane. Go visit them. Go support that dispensary and get your medical card and support it and make lines long, and then they're going to have to open up more because your South Dakota governor screwed you. The hard way.
Tell it like it is.
You tell me, where does the money go, Mrs. Weedman? Tell me.
You want to know?
I want to know, where does the money fucking go?
They say the suits don't get it all.
Ooh, the suits.
You like
what
that?
about schemers and scandals? Still one of my favorite
The
episodes.
schemers and scandals, the politicians,
yes,
they get it.
They get it?
Yeah, they're making bank.
So we all get it the hard way.
Yeah. Want to know where the money goes?
I want to know.
All right. There seems to be a lot of people who think cash is pouring out of the walls in the cannabis industry. Well, friends, it's not as green over here as they'd lead you to believe. In fact, it's kind of red. Lately, I found myself advocating for higher priced brands quite often. And one of the most common things I hear from consumers in response are things like, damn, those guys must not care about their end users. Or where do they get off charging so much for 3.5 grams of flour? While I do understand the sentiment, I'd like to set the record straight a bit, because I assure you, if they didn't care about providing you with the best possible products they can, they simply wouldn't be in the business. You see, the reason you hear so much about brands trying to go vertical or racing to scale is because, as it turns out, there's not a ton of money in selling weed. In order to optimize profits and, frankly, make the business worthwhile, brands need to move a lot of product, as this really isn't a high-margin business in the legal landscape. In fact, there are millions of hurdles even the smallest of brands have to overcome to get their products to market. They're burdened with hard costs, a complicated legal system, and in truth, the initial cultivators often have the smallest say in terms of end price. They're just trying to stay afloat. Drew Cogio, proprietor of Green Dog Cultivators, said poetically of the state of the industry right now. Overall, the operators starve while the city eats. The states reap while the farmers weep. This couldn't be more accurate, and I'd like to illustrate the reality of the game today. Reverse engineering the price. Let's journey down the path of a top-shelf eighth of weed of a company that's not fully vertical. To the end consumer in Los Angeles, when starting at $60 on the shelf, this equates to about $81 out of pocket when all is said and done. Sounds like a ton of money, right? The farmers must be making a killing. Well, hold on now. Not so fast. That eighth had to be sold to a retailer. So as we travel backwards down the path, let's see how that 60 shrinks. Because remember, that $21 extra is tax. None of the operators eat off of that. That's the state's money. The retailer probably bought it around $30, as retailers typically mark products up 100% on the fair side. So we're at $30 to the farmer, right? But what about the distribution company? They might have bought it for 15 and marked it up because they also need to make money and provide a living wage to their employees. So now we're at $15 per eighth for a product that's sold to the consumer for $60. Margins are shrinking fast, but still, $15 for 3.5 grams? Surely that's a killing for the farmer, right? Not when you factor in expenses. Mr. Weedman has to talk.
I have to say something because I follow this dispensary in Oklahoma, and they were selling $20 ounces.
Whoa.
Exactly. $20 ounces.
Holy
and
cow.
They were. I was like,
they just had to get rid of stuff.
Who fuck knows? $20 ounces.
Wow.
In Oklahoma.
That's nuts. All right, now we have to get into expenses, production costs. Before we get into the cost of actually creating a viable grow room, there's a lot of hard costs in cultivation. Things like electricity, water, they're essential to indoor grow process. And while these prices vary by where you are in the state you're operating, I've spoken to a few friends to generalize the costs. Depending on the yield of your plants, an eighth can cost between $9 and $12 to grow indoors at the highest quality. Now that price scales to the more expensive end as you factor in things like exotics. They're typically a lower yield, and that some plants take longer to finish. But remember, the cultivator is also being taxed here. The state will come in and take about 5% of gross sales from the cultivator on top of all the taxes the end consumer is paying. Jeez. They have been paying a $170 per pound tax that was just recently lifted by California since so many cultivators have been going under. But it's important to note that this extremely recent change has yet to be felt by the cultivators. Then they've also got to package your products because Ziplocs are no good anymore. The state requires all that child safety stuff, and it's got to happen before it hits the store. So besides all the cultivation costs, there's another $1 or $2 tacked on in hard costs just to bring the brand and goods to you. That means if the cultivator was seeing $15 an eighth, after hard costs, they're only seeing around $1 to $5 per eighth in profit. Hardly anything to write home about. And we haven't even gotten to what it takes to get to that point. You have pre-production costs. We all know that top shelf indoor grow doesn't grow in a dump, right? There's a lot that goes into setting up a room. And while it's hard to deduct these costs from an individual eighth, I feel it's important to give you some context into just how expensive setting up one of these rooms is and how much it takes to run it. Build-outs for a cultivation center cost between $300 and $500 per square foot of a facility. That means if you're setting up a 1,000 square foot facility, you're looking at $300,000 to $500,000. A 10,000 square foot facility, $3 to $5 million. Past that, those expenses I mentioned have monthly costs. Operating the facility can cost between $5 and $8 per square foot per month. That can translate to $5,000 to $8,000 per month. And as you can see, the numbers keep adding up, right? We haven't even added in the cost to actually become a legal operator. That probably takes another $1 million or so. And it's annoying and complicated. So with hundreds of thousands of dollars in setup costs, tens of thousands in operation per month, and around $3 profit per eighth, remind me again about how greedy these guys are. The cultivators, that is. The sad truth is that the one who's fucking up here isn't the cultivator. It's the government. They're crazy.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I can't believe this article is really good because who are the biggest drug dealers in the world? The U.S. government. And they're taking so
pharmaceuticals.
much. Well, now, but also if you look at like how much the states are taxing growers and dispensaries, the tax man just in L.A. gets, $21 from an eighth.
Right.
The cultivator only gets
plus
$3.
$170 per pound.
Right.
Before it gets put to market.
So
they're robbing everybody.
And here's the craziest thing too with the new bill that's on the table, the Senate bill. They're gonna tax up to in like 5 years when it'll be like 5%, and then after 5 years it goes to 12.5%. That's federal on top of all this state shit. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wow.
So the government again Their crazy taxes and restrictions are the reason why most of this process is so expensive and why hardly anyone is making a great check right now. To break them down quickly, and using Los Angeles as the example, 34.5% of whatever the final cost of your goods are goes directly to the government. That means over 1/3 of what you're paying doesn't feed or support anyone that's involved in making the product. Get that? 1/3 of it isn't going to anybody that's even in the cannabis industry. It's just going to the legislators, making the process so difficult for them. That 34.5% breaks down as follows. 15% as a state excise tax. This is in California. 10% city tax, 9.25% county tax, all to the man for giving you the privilege to spend this much money on weed. Even worse, U.S. Tax Code 280E says that everyone involved in the sale of federally illegal drugs is taxed at the highest rate possible, which means that 43 to 47% of anything those involved in the process earns goes right back to the feds. They're literally doing everything that they can to make sure these guys don't make money. I haven't even gotten into the mechanics of retailers and distributors who, while I understand, may also seem greedy because of their rip-offs and markups, are actually mostly barely surviving as well. It's easy to forget how hard it is to run a business, to feed your staff, to pay all of your bills in any industry, but I assure you, the game is further rigged in cannabis. When all is said and done, I understand why consumers are pissed about prices. The state of the industry today sucks, but it's not the fault of those of us who are cultivating. It's largely due to each state's greed. While we all want a better tomorrow, let's do our best to help those who are focused on providing us with the best products available. I understand that quality looks appetizing, but trust me. I understand that quantity looks appetizing, but trust me, quality will get you there way faster every time.
Oh, another great article by High Times. Mm-hmm. Another good one. It's all fucking right. I mean, if you're not looking at it, the cash cows come in, and the United States government and all the states are making their money.
Their hands are out first.
Yeah, and that's why you see so much of the black traditional market farms getting busted in California left and right. I mean, the government wants their money, man, and that they're going to take it. They're going to be the biggest loan sharks and fucking drug dealers on the planet. So if you don't see it, you're fooling yourselves. As Berner said on this article that he just got written on Forbes, it's hard making money in legal cannabis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's hard making money at legal cannabis. Oh, my goodness. Home grow, free the plant, stomp the stigma. International news. Have we learned our lesson? Please do not bring cannabis to Russia. A U.S. teacher just got sentenced to 14 years for traveling to Russia with cannabis. Jeez. And the basketball player Brittney, they're doing a trade-off with a Russian, to get her back here. So this poor teacher's going to spend 14 years, though. So, I mean, don't bring fucking weed to Russia if you're from especially if you're from the United States right now. We are not in good terms with Russia, okay? So if you're from the United States, don't bring weed. The EU cannabis legalization, a wave is coming. Because of what you're seeing with, Luxembourg, Malta, Germany, all these countries are just going to start following suit. I mean, the EU, and they're all going to do business with one another. They're going to import, export. They're going to own it, and the United States is still going to be like, when everybody else is going to start doing business with one another, and here we are just sitting back, just letting whatever. I don't care. I just want to free the plant and smoke my own medicine. Guam to open adult use cannabis application window at the end of August. Good for Guam. Yeah. I remember listening to Ice-T in the 80s. He was the first time I saw Ice-T like on stage, not live, but in a movie, was Breaking. The movie about breakdancing. He was the DJ hip hop singer during one of the battle offs. That's how long I've been a fan of Ice-T. And then when he did the heavy metal hard rock band. God, I can't believe I forgot the name of it, but I've always been a fan. And then when he was in some awesome movies I've watched him in, oh my God, I've been a fan. So this is on you though.
Yeah.
Ms. Weedman.
You got Ice-T and Karis B's New Jersey dispensary gets green lighted. On July 25th, the Medicine Woman, New Jersey, a proposed dispensary co-owned by Ice-T and Karis B, was approved by the Jersey City's Cannabis Control Board meeting, along with 3 other proposed dispensaries. The news was posted on Instagram the following day. I've got like a froggy voice, don't I?
Body Count. I remembered Ice-T was in Body Count. Oh, God, it was amazing.
The Medicine Woman, Jersey City, will encompass 5,000 square feet of retail space featuring local New Jersey cannabis brands, limited edition merchandise, and provide necessary education. There's also going to be Medusa, New Jersey, Oceanfront Holding, and the Other Side Dispensary. Jersey City Cannabis Control Board oversees rules and regulations over licensing, cultivation, testing, and retail, and getting approved is no easy feat. Karis Burnett, or Karis B, founded the Medicine Woman originally in California before eyeing the East Coast. It's super, super exciting for us because New Jersey is many years behind where we are in California in terms of legalization. Barrett tells High Times as she waited for her cab. And it's exciting to bring it to the state that is really motivated and looking forward to the growth of the cannabis industry in general. And, Ice is a resident, so Jersey City and the state of New Jersey means so much to him personally. And he is a longtime personal friend of my husband and myself. And obviously, this is synergy and everything is coming together. Barrett's dispensary will follow the same mindset of the other Medicine Woman locations, which initially began as a non-profit delivery service. Our mindset is to bring global medicine to local areas at an affordable price for everybody, says Barrett. We believe that cannabis should be available to everybody that needs it. It's a beautiful medicine. It's been around for centuries, and we love being able to educate people and communities, have healthy debates, and, as I said, bring global medicine to local communities at affordable prices. Ice-T lives in Edgewater, a community relatively close to Jersey City. He's well aware of the problems the cannabis industry faces locally. In New Jersey, Black people are over 3 times more likely to be charged with possession of cannabis than white people, despite similar rates of consumption. With that in mind, initial partnerships include the Last Prisoner Project, Jersey City Mural and Arts Program, Jersey City Employment and Training Program, Hudson County Community College, with more to be announced. I've dedicated my life and career to giving back and paving the way for minorities as a New Jersey native. I'm excited for the opportunity legalization offers our community, and I look forward to ushering in a new era for cannabis in the state, Ice-T said in a statement. I've partnered with my friend of over 25 years, Karis B., who is an authority in cannabis and founder of the Medicine Woman, to ensure a premium experience for our customers and community. Barrett said that she's 100% in favor of expungement and helping people that have gone to prison over pot, some people for life, for cannabis offenses. And it is something that is very important to both the community and Jersey City. Barrett says that she's been reading High Times for longer than most. When I was 15, all I wanted to do was get a subscription to High Times magazine, she admits. But I was just worried about being on that same government list that everybody would get in. It was the 80s. And to be here today, 30 to 33 years later, talking to you, I couldn't be more proud of where the industry has gone and that I'm here. I am. So thank you. The Medicine Woman, Jersey City, is set to open in the fall of 2022, and the team is currently accepting applications for employment for a variety of positions. They are committed to sourcing a local workforce with a focus on providing opportunities for former cannabis offenders.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool. So back in the 80s, I worked at a movie theater, and this movie came out, and there would be like 6 of us cleaning the movie theater floors, and this song would be playing.
And you're like 16?
I knew this song by heart.
Mr. Weedman's dancing.
Am I nightmare walking, tap talking.
King of my jungle, just a gangster, stalking, living life like a firecracker, quick as my fuse. Been dead as a death, that's the colors I choose. Red and blue, cause of blood.
We would clean the theater up, and that song, the credits would be going, and that song is going. We would go.
Oh my God, you
that's
guys
that movie played for like 3 months in the theater. It was so popular. It played for 3 months in the theater,
Wow.
and we would clean. I mean, I worked in the movie theater 3-4 days a week, and I would clean the floors, and we would watch that song so many times that we would just know the words by heart. We would sing it. We would come out. We'd kick the door open of the movie theater after we get done cleaning. We'd start colors. High too, because we worked at a movie theater in high school, so it was kind of cool. You know, everyone would bring us beers. We'd sneak beers. Whatever. Anyway, we had a lot of fun working at the movie. But that song, my gosh, so good for you, Ice-T. Man, that's awesome. I love it. So. Man, that's the end of the show, Ms. Wee Man.
That went fast.
Went fast as always. Hey, everybody out there in the world, we love you. Mrs. Wee Man, you got anything else to say?
No.
No?
Let's get high.
We fucking are. You know that
All
for
right.
sure. Hey, everybody out in the world, we love you. We love you so much, man. Thank you so much for listening out there. Don't forget, go to 8decades.com. You will see all of our handles on there. You can follow Mrs. Weedman and everything. You can follow Mr. Weedman and everything. Shoot us an email. Shoot us some DMs. Follow us. We love you all out there. We got some news coming. Probably talk about it on my birthday episode. Got a new show we're working on right now. Looking forward to it. We'll tell you a little bit about it. So everybody out in the world, have a great one. Smoke big fat doinks. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.